Tonight. It's a nice evening outside. It's hard to believe it's December. In fact, just a couple years ago, we had some really bad snow and temperatures, so we're lucked out tonight. We don't have that problem to deal with. Tonight, we actually end our 25th year celebration. The Historical Society has been around for 25 years. We had our celebration at the fairgrounds in June, so tonight kind of is the fulfillment of that 25th year. So I want to welcome everybody here tonight that's here as a guest or visitor. Also thank the City of Wilder for allowing us to use their space again. I know we've had a couple conflicts in the past, but I checked with them a few weeks ago and they assured me that we were the only ones here tonight. The fire department, the police department weren't using it. So that's a good thing. Last year we got bumped out. Tonight we have refreshments for everybody. Everybody's already joined in. I invite the Dulcimer players to come up and help yourself.
Dig in.
So we're going to go ahead and start our business meeting. At this time, I'd like to call our treasurer up and give the treasurer's report.
We had a beginning balance of $11,156.24. We took in $156 in dues, $50.55 in donations, $223 toward our scanner fund. Remember we talked about the photo reprints that we were doing from the Gray photo collection? The woman came through on that and we got a check for $255 and we have made her a very happy lady now. We forwarded a flash drive with scans of all of her pictures to her. We sold $3.70 worth of copies and we collected our 48 cents in interest. Wow! Big time. And the only bill that I paid last month was for our annual bulk mail permit, which was $225. So we had an ending balance of $11,619.49.
Okay, thank you very much. Last month's minutes. Dan, would you like to stand up and send out?
Yes, I would. Okay, we had an attendance of 51 at the last meeting, which was held on Thursday, November the 12th. Ken opened the meeting by introducing our featured speaker, who was Don Tolzman. And Don discussed many useful resources that are available to those interested in researching their German ancestors. We had elected officers and board members during the last meeting. Ken was elected president. Pam Caseville, she was elected vice president. I was elected as secretary, and Steve Battistone was elected as the treasurer. We also had 3-year term elections for the following people: Richard McCormick, Charlene Jensen, Glenn Elsner, Carol Rich, and Mark Thomas. So those were all elected to the board at the last meeting. Steve gave a treasurer's report last month. We had a balance of $11,156.24. We had current membership of 266. On the newsletter, Jan reported that the newsletter will go out at the end of December. She's looking for articles to be published by the beginning of December. Cemeteries report. Evergreen Cemetery would like to raise money to fix the potholes in the roads, and the Friends of Evergreen Cemetery are still having their regular meetings. We had no update on the photo albums last time. We have 13,258 veterans records on file. For donations, Campbell County Fiscal Court donated 5 pictures of the courthouse and county officials, and Marvin Record donated pictures from St. Peter and Paul. The email and correspondence, the organization is seeking donations to go towards purchase of a microfilm reader. The current reader can no longer be repaired, A new reader would be the only one available in Cameron County and will allow the negatives of the Gray photography collection to be turned into picture prints. Upcoming meetings, December, here tonight, we've got the Christmas social. In January, we'll be at Wilder for a talk by Bill Stoltz on the history of Bellevue. February, we'll be here as well for a talk by Don Sorrell on Campbell County agriculture, past and present, and the 4-H program. And in March, we'll have a talk on St. Joseph's Orphanage. Everyone was reminded that History Day is coming up. The event is March 19th, and the keynote speaker will be Don Tolzman, who will give a talk on the suspension bridge. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Dan. You're welcome. Paid membership, Dan.
This is the time of year when we start over, basically. So we have like 50 people, which includes life members and members who have paid their dues for the coming year for 2016. The newsletter, however, I keep a list of mailing for the newsletter. We have about, that'll go out to about 275 people. So hopefully all those people will renew their dues and pay up here real soon. So if there will be in the newsletter, I'll just do that now too. In the newsletter, there will be an envelope and a membership renewal form. You can send your $12 in, or if you want to become a life member, it's $150. So that will all be in the newsletter. It should be to you, hopefully by the first of the year. I'm making final workups on it now. Still getting a couple of articles in. So that's the newsletter report too.
Hey,
Yes.
question, off the top of your head, do you know how many life members?
We have about 20, 25, somewhere in there. I don't have my laptop with me, or I can tell you. But, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, ordinarily we would start right into our report, but tonight we have two presentations to make. Over the years, we've done a lot of different kind of research. We've done a lot of different kinds of work in the Historical Society. And we have two board members tonight who are going off the board and becoming just members instead of board members. Martha Pelfrey, please stand. Martha's been with us from the very beginning. And we gave her a plaque at the 25th anniversary celebration. Carol, come on up.
He's going to get his
Daryl's also been with us almost from the very beginning. He took over the newsletter when we started it. He helped out the office. He's done umpteen hours of genealogy research. He's been an invaluable resource to us all these years, and tonight is his final night as a board member. Let's give him a round of applause. And another presentation. Over in the 25th anniversary, we were awarded a beautiful model of the courthouse from 1848. The building itself was a much smaller building than we have today. They've added on to it several times since then, but this is what it looked like in the very beginning. Applied Imagination made this for us and presented it to us for our 25th anniversary celebration. So, representatives of Applied Imagination, please come up. Everybody knew and awed at the 25th anniversary about the unbelievable model we were presented. It's been a place of honor at the Historical Society ever since. So tonight we want to give thanks to this organization with a plaque honoring them for their gift to us. Paul, thank you very much. I'm going to eventually probably put it inside a glass casing, though I know they told me you could hose it down. I'm not. It's made to go in a greenhouse, and I was told you don't even have to worry about this. Hose it down. There is no way I'm hosing that down. It's going to stay out. I'm going to put it in a plexiglass case around it to keep the dust off of it. We'll keep it for a long time to come.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Paula, thanks for making it for us. And Leslie, thank you very much for coming tonight. All right. Okay, we're going to go ahead with our reports. As it was announced, our election results was that present members of the officers were re-elected, and Richard McCormick and Shirley Jensen were re-elected, and Mark Thomas, Elsner, and Carol Rich were also elected to the board of directors. So we have a very busy year coming up on the process of reorganizing and going through our entire museum, library, and archives. We've got a lot to do up there. We may eventually ask for help for people to come up just to physically help move stuff. It's very likely we will be moving some areas in the courthouse. It's become apparent to us that our military collection is much bigger than the room we have it in. So we're going to probably do some shifting around and basically almost eliminate the visitor's office, because we don't really use it as an office very much anyway, and we probably will turn that completely into a military room. So we have research information there and everything else that goes with it, and then the present military room will just be a very small reception area when people walk in. So that's all coming up in the future. Okay, reports. Gifts and donation. Richard.
Jeff Reimer donated us a binder, excuse me, of Meade family history, genealogy, and photos. Shirley Jensen donated us 2 books by Nathaniel Southgate Shaler, Kentucky, a Pioneer Commonwealth, and then the biography of Nathaniel Southgate Shaler.
Okay, thank you. Anything on History Day report?
History Day is still March 19th. Our next planning meeting is at the end of January, so nothing's changed since last meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. We already had our treasury report. Steve, any information on the photo albums at this time?
No, not at this point.
Okay. Jan, you want to speak real quickly about newsletter?
Well, newsletter, I kind of already did, but we've had some communications. I think that's next, isn't it? We've got, if anybody is interested, this Saturday is the second Saturday genealogy in Frankfurt at the Kentucky Historical Society. They're doing a presentation on using Family Search, which is the LDS site, online site. It's a totally free site. If you'd like to learn more about how to use it and how to search more in depth, probably if you've done genealogy, you've used it a little bit, but they're going to get you going further in depth and finding maybe some hidden treasures for your genealogy. I'll leave that up here. We got a note from the Friends of Evergreen right after our board meeting, and I said there was no report, but then the report came in the next day or that night. Friends of Evergreen is meeting regularly. They're meeting over at the event center right across from the Highland Event Center, right across from Evergreen Cemetery. It's like an antique space.
Half the
and
building
meeting.
antique shop, the other half the event center.
Yeah, so that's where they're having their meetings. If anybody has ancestors at Evergreen and want to get involved, it seems like from their reports that they send out, there's lots of ways to get involved. Even if you just want to they're having an adopt a section. So if you have a lot of ancestors in one section, you might want to think about serving on that committee group. There's something pretty much for everybody that wants to get involved. And they've been doing some work to their office. There was a broken door and some other things they're kind of they got some donations to kind of fix that up.
As you heard me mention over and over again, Evergreen Cemetery, like most other cemeteries, is in dire need of help and financial help. Because so many people are being cremated, the number of burials is going down, the number of perpetual cares is going down, so they're actually using inmates from the jail to mow the grass. They have some major problems down there, and every cemetery in the country is going to be in the same boat within probably 15 years because of the fact that you cannot touch the money that came in, you only use the interest. So Evergreen's probably got a huge endowment, but they can't touch a single thing by state law. They can only use the interest off the endowment. And as everybody knows, from our 48 cents you heard me say tonight, interest is almost non-existent right now, so they're really hard up. So if you have any influence with state representatives to help work on this problem, we could definitely use some help for cemeteries so they can access some of this money they're not allowed to touch. Okay, speaking of cemetery, Marvin, you have a report tonight.
Now let's go back and say they're not completely restored, some of the stones still. This is the Robert Shaw Cemetery, which is located at Lick Branch and Grandview. And the VFW in Alexandria has taken over cutting down all the trees and mowing it, and we have a promise that the guy's going to mow it from now on as long as he's able. And then, as most of you have probably read the newsletter, the St. Paul United Church of Christ Cemetery behind Southern States has been restored. There's only about 6 or 7 stones. There's probably about 20 more graves. But if you get a chance to drive behind that, they've taken, the church has taken wonderful precautions to see to it that it's going to be maintained. So that's the good news. Now there's still a handful of cemeteries out there that are worse shaped than Evergreen, not because of finances, just because they've been forgotten. So we're still trying to get all of those documented, and every once in a while you find somebody that owns a property that are unaware that there's a cemetery. And on one of those, the guy's actually started to build a fence. He's going to be taking care of it. So we visited a few more cemeteries lately. It's an ongoing project.
How many cemeteries, do you have any idea we have?
Well, we thought there was about 40 private cemeteries in the county based on our previous records. We're at about 110 now. And that's private cemeteries, not the big ones like St. Stephen's and St. Mary and all, and you know, there's these 5 and 6 grave cemeteries, 2 grave cemeteries, 30 grave cemeteries. Some of them have, as my friend Bill Nelson says, the farm help is buried on the back side of the cemetery. That means it's the slaves' farm help. And the unfortunate thing is, most of those do not have names or markers, or they've got a field stone. So we're doing some research. Charlene's doing a lot of work on the Underground Railroad, and we're finding people in that area of eastern Campbell County that were part of the Underground Railroad, and they actually had some slaves, and we have found some cemeteries that we did not know where they were. So it's an ongoing thing.
A state up here from Missouri, and he had several slaves, and they're buried supposedly in the back of that cemetery someplace. It's interesting, cemeteries, as I've often said, have been the biggest thorn in my side since I've been president for 25 years. They always end up, someone's got a problem with the cemetery someplace, and a member tonight came up to me and was talking to me about a church cemetery in Alexandria that the state called him and said something about they're using it as a parking lot. Well, that was an ongoing project we've been aware of for a long, long time. Yes, it is a parking lot. Yes, they did blacktop over their own cemetery. Tombstones were thrown away. Then they were resurrected and thrown behind a church, was what I was contacted probably 10 times. And after lengthy meetings with the minister who got very nasty with me, he ended up getting kicked out. A new minister came in and he wanted the whole problem to go away. So instead of digging up the blacktop, he took the tombstones from behind the church, built a temporary fence out about 50 feet, 150 feet from where the cemetery is, put down black plastic, put the tombstones there, put the rocks around it. So officially there is a cemetery, it's just not where it originally was. The most interesting part about the whole thing is that the guy who donated the ground for the courthouse and that church is buried under the blacktop right now. So it happens all the time. I've had, in all these years, I've had cemeteries have always been my biggest problem. Every year there's a cemetery problem. Okay, our microfilm reader. We talked about this earlier. It's a very expensive proposition, and it turns out there's nobody else in Campbell County that has a microfilm reader anymore. We have lots of microfilm, but we also found out the new generation of microfilm readers will also look at, copy, and allow us to make photographs from our Gray photograph collection. For those who don't know what that is, the Gray family had a photography studio here in the Southgate, Fort Thomas border for years. They decided to retire. They approached us to see if we wanted their negatives. Unbeknownst to us, it was 500,000 negatives. We have all of them now. Every one of them, that go back to probably the late 40s, early 50s. So now we're able, it's just like they mentioned tonight, somebody wanted a wedding photo. So we were able to accommodate them and make copies of it for them, and they were overwhelmed. We'll be able to do that, but we can't do it now without going through a lot of major steps. The microfilm reader will allow us to do that. So if anybody's got deep pockets and is just dying to give some money to somebody, we sure could use some for this project. Because we're talking probably $7,000 or $8,000 to buy this thing. And it will allow us to do a whole range of things, and nobody else in Campbell County has got a microfilm reader anymore. You know, years ago, every library had one or two or three. That's not the case anymore. In Campbell County, nobody has one. And Kent County Public Library still does, but nobody in Campbell County does. So it would be a nice feather in our cap to have such a thing for our visitors as well as for the photo collection. And for the people who order films from the LDS collection, they can view them in our office, yes.
We are looking at trying to get some grants, but a lot of the grant money out there is designated for specific projects and not for equipment. But we are still looking into a couple of things. The DAR might have something. So even if you think of big businesses in the county, if you work for a business, if they have matching grants that they give, check with your employer and see if they would be interested in helping us out. Yes, there is going to be a letter explaining everything that you could show to an employer or to a business that explains what we're trying to do.
The biggest problem with grants is there's so many restrictions. The idea is somebody had this money, they decided they wanted to put it to a good use, but they put all restrictions on it. So, I mean, sometimes you have to jump on one foot on Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock, so you might qualify. Otherwise, you don't qualify at all. There's so many restrictions on these grants, you have to have a full-time grant writer to even figure out what it's all about, and then fill out the form to do that. So it's a difficult proposition for most groups like ours who don't have grant writers as part of our membership. So it's a difficult task. If anybody's good at writing grants, step forward, we definitely use you. Okay, future meetings. Next month we're coming here to Wilder on the 14th, and Bill Stokes is going to come talk to us about Bellevue Historic Preservation. On February 11th, as Don Sorrell is going to talk about Campbell County agriculture. Dave Schroeder's coming to talk on March 10th here about St. Joseph Orphanage, which is located in US 27, where the DAV is right now. March 19th is History Day. And then the last one we have scheduled up to this point is we have a talk here on Martz's Playground, which is located down in Ross on Kentucky 8. A lot of people remember that well because of the fact that the swimming pool used well water. And they said when you jumped in there, it about took your breath away, it was so cold. So should be a very interesting speech. Does anybody else have anything else in particular to bring up tonight?
We've announced a couple of times now, we have the Historical Society set up with Kroger Community Awards. And we just got our check from Kroger. I haven't deposited the check yet. And it was $40 or so, $45, whatever. It wasn't a whole lot of money. But when I read the report, there's only 9 people signed up. Now, I would imagine most people shop at Kroger. You know, a good number of us do. The thing about it is that has to be renewed every year. So if you're not signed up, and you need help signing up because it can be a little complicated, let us know and we'll help you get signed up for it. Jan's agreed to bring her computer to the meeting next month. I'll bring mine and we'll sign you up right here. But, you know, it can be a sizable amount of money if you get enough people signed up. With 9 people, we got $40-some. Imagine what we get with 100 people. So if anybody needs help with that, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you get signed up for it.
Okay, we're going to go back to our Hills Kentucky Dulcimers in just a moment. If anybody wants any more food, will help themselves. The rest of the meeting is basically listening to music. So, well, first, let's give the Hills Kentucky Dulcimers a thank you for
Press the jingle bell. Press the jingle bell. I didn't get a cue, but I went ahead anyway. That's We're doing good. I can't read. That ain't gonna help nothing. Was hard as he could be, and children say he can laugh and play. That's the second part. Oh, you're losing your belt. What are you talking about? You aren't even singing. Big deal.
That's all right.
Yay! I like it.
I'm gonna go eat some dessert. I cut your cake.
Oh, good.
Does it taste like?
I baked that cake. I had to pull the Kroger tag off. That's how I baked this cake.
Just some good music to entertain you. We're going to have a dancing toy for you.
It's a guy.
Jolly old St. Nicholas. She's going to try to tell you some about the toy, but it's often what the children in the Appalachian Mountains would play with on the porch as the adults and others were playing their different instruments that you would have found in the Appalachian Mountains. She's going to be playing with a lumberjack here that's going to be dancing its heart out as she will show you.
Anybody else want some bells?
Having a picture taken.
Yeah. Take a couple. Got everybody here? Go back farther. Go back farther. Right here? Okay. All right.
Unless you're on one for gambling, and I'm not into gambling. My brother Bill is, so he spends his time gambling. No, I'm sorry, I don't need to do that. I'm basically cheap too along those lines. Well, then until he gets from dad. My dad was that. Yeah, he was a card player. And the bad thing about it was he wasn't a good card player. So the only time I really played cards was when I was down to California in the 80s. We had card games every night.
Was first published in 1833. We can be thankful for such good music that came from so long ago. The melody is very unusual in regard to English melodies because the same phrase is repeated one time and then once again. Very strange for our English music. But the first Noel.
What they also do, they do city meetings and his first wife, Nellie, I knew his second wife, Nellie, and when I was a kid,
What I hear. Historians, let me ask you now. This was a song that was written for a plea for peace. Plea for peace. Do you remember when or for what year?
Do you
All
remember
in
when
this
the
room were
question was
alive
there?
during the year. I can tell by looking at your faces. 1962. During the
I used to
Cuban
go there.
Missile
Yeah,
Crisis.
before they moved
The
out.
song, Do You Hear What I Hear?
Everybody's talking and he's like 62 minutes before I You know, I was to the Cincinnati Reds game when Chapman first came. The very first night he pitched, Chapman, he's gone. They just got rid of him. He slapped his wife. That's a new one? Where? What is that? That is Kennedy. Yeah, CK Electric used to do it. My son used to go there every Christmas. I think I was on the incline one time when I was really little. I vaguely remember. How are we supposed to read Central Parkway? Yeah. Central Parkway, though. Anybody in the canal? Anybody landed in the canal? Some of those drunk Germans over there, yeah. You like mysteries? Where's mysteries? Short-term mysteries? Real-life mysteries? Get on it's gay. If you have cable, it's $71. If you don't have when my uncle was in World War II. We used to take him over and he'd ride the train. Probably so scary. This is from the time we talked about Where's Did you go over to see it? Did they let you inside? You only look for the wind, through the window.
Still, linked with Top Little Children. Top Little Children is back in 1794 by a Catholic priest.
What's he talking about?
Song that they're gonna sing was written by
Oh,
song was The Children at the Manger. Later was it changed only to Oh Come Little Children. The next song now, we're going to be giving you a chance to loosen up. We're going to be playing the Zinger Carol, and you're going to have some words to join us with this one. We're going to have some verses, and we're going to have some choruses. And those of you who don't have food in your mouth, I'm going to be expecting to join us. And I look around the room and see that will only be 3 persons that can join us at this time. But the chorus itself is going to be Hallelujah, Hallelujah, the church bells ring, the angels sing, from everything all must draw near. And after 2 or 3 times through there, you'll know it, and you'll see, in fact, exactly how that changes after each verse.
We'll figure out where they go. Ready?
How that has changed. That's the train that used to be at the how sparse it is compared to what it is. Now they have it down to
Okay, now, here we go. Now for the chorus. Hallelujah, the church bells ring. Hallelujah, the angels sing. Hallelujah, from everything all must draw near.